Welcome, welcome, welcome to the first show of 2026. What is she thinking? If you want it darker, baby, here we are. It is I, Melanie Marshall, and Dr. Heather Collins. Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, friend. So good to see you.
So good to see you. So those of you watching, you're a week or so in, and we thought we would talk about something kind of related to the new year because it is definitely something that's been on my mind, and it is social media. Because if you are looking at everybody's Instagrams, Facebooks, whatever's, LinkedIn's, it is all about new year, new me. Okay, I'm already revealing my bias. It didn't take long. But we want to talk through a little bit about whether or not social media can ever be done in a good way, how it affects us, and, what are some ways we can combat the impacts that it does have on our mental health and on the ways we interact with each other. Does that sound about right, Dr. Heather?
That sounds about right. And I definitely know you're coming at this from a dark perspective, as am I. But actually, when I was thinking about this episode, I thought to myself, I bet Melanie's going to come out of this more positively than I will.
Okay, maybe, but maybe not. This might be my dark villain turn for the new year. This might be my whole new thing.
I look forward to it.
Well, I think, genuinely, the reason I wanted to talk to you about it is I had this moment where I'd not been looking on any sort of social media. I don't look at a lot of social media when I'm not working or, and I was spending time with family. I was very focused on that. I was in the present, for better and for worse. And then I had some things I wanted to do that involved getting back out there. And the moment I turned on LinkedIn, which ironically, this show is on, I felt my blood curdle, not to be too dramatic. And I thought, I can't do this. I can't be here. I immediately felt like I was going down this, it's weird because I don't think of LinkedIn as social media for some reason, or I haven't, but I felt this comparison thing happening. I felt like, oh my God, everybody else is doing so well and I'm not. I thought, oh my God, they're all a bunch of phonies. Oh my God, I don't want to be here. It was just not a good place to be.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to run away and never come back. And I don't know if that's a solution or possible. So what is happening in our brains when we look at social media? What was happening in my brain when that happened?
It was a stew of negativity. Just a big old stew of negativity. And there's a reason for that. What you were talking about with comparison, that's called the comparison trap. And that actually hijacks your brain's self-worth circuits. So
tell me more.
Everybody has a curated feed, right? And while we know feeds are curated, there's the illusion of reality in social media. Just like back in the day, there was the illusion that reality TV shows were actually reality. We know now that that's not quite the case, and yet we still engage with social media as if this is reality. And so that comparison trap that really gets us to believe the distorted reality as fact. It increases your anxiety, increases depression, increases stress. There's cortisol surging throughout your system, increases envy. It has all of these really negative effects on how we perceive ourselves because we're constantly doing that comparison of I'm not good enough. I'm not like that. There's not a brand new me.
Does that make me a bad person though? Does that mean I'm just not happy for other people? Is that my amygdala? What is happening? what? Those are my two questions about the comparison trap. Yeah.
So look, that doesn't make you a bad person. That makes all of us people. It makes us human, in fact. So humanity check, you're human. Well done. And it doesn't mean that you can't be happy for other people. It's that comparison trap makes you feel like you're not enough or you're not good enough. And in fact, it is your amygdala, my friend. And it is your amygdala because then, in addition to all of this, the negative stew around self-worth, it actually increases your fear response in your brain with your amygdala. And when we feel urgent fear, in fact, that's what a lot of these algorithms capitalize on. And fear, outrage, and novelty spread faster than anything that's calm, anything that is carefully thought out and discussed. And research has shown that it actually, fear spreads faster than the truth online. And I was thinking about this a lot when I was thinking about this topic, and in your background in the news, in the BBC, I'm really curious about maybe experiences you've had where this has kind of taken over the news online.
Well, I think it still happens everywhere. I mean, it's been happening when we've been talking about anything divisive, like polarization is a product of algorithms. It's not only a product of algorithms, but it's definitely exacerbated by algorithms. And I will often have the experience of going to places where people are not meeting others who are different from them or who have different experiences. And so their only experience will be what the algorithm has shown them. And I don't think that's a comparison trap. It's more of a reflection that becomes really negative. And so their perception is that there is something to be afraid of out there. And I have seen that over and over and over again. And I've also seen, so there's that. And then there's also, I mean, God, there's so much to get into in this topic. We need to try and get ourselves all organized. No, and damn it, no, I'm not feeling as depressed. But it's hard to combat because the other thing that happens, aside from trying to break into those bubbles, is people get overwhelmed, like me, and they want to run away. So sometimes it is not even just that people are being fed fear and mistruth, and that travels faster, which it does, which is why so many organizations have struggled to combat disinformation. But it is also that people just get overwhelmed by everything and they can't take anything else in, which I know you know a lot about. You love your cognitive overload.
I love cognitive overload.
And all that needs to happen, especially, you know, with the growth of AI, is if you don't know what is true, then it becomes the social media world can become very, very limbic, and not in a good way, not in a Aloka the peace dog marching thousands of kilometers with with monks to spread peace to America. But it can become a really scary place.
And 10 points for limbic. I loved that.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. When you were talking about cognitive overload, this is one of the things that I feel and I see so often with social media. And it's really easy to get in the trap where you're doom scrolling, right? Doom scrolling is a thing. We hear all the time about people lying in bed, doom scrolling. And it's interesting when you see somebody else engaged in it. You know, if you're sitting there at a coffee shop and you observe others, or you're with a friend who can't put their phone down because they're constantly scrolling social media. And it really is lack of cognitive control. Some people think that they don't have the willpower, but it's not that. It's that rapid task switching and going from one post to the next, to the next, to the next. That rapid fire information overload actually kind of dampens your prefrontal cortex and really kind of shuts down your ability to take control of what's happening and to make informed decisions. And honestly, Melanie, if you have that feeling of, I want to run away from this, run. You know, that's your biology telling you, take a break. And so
that's my fight or flight. Is that my amygdala helping me?
That's your amygdala helping you.
However, I do think, and this is one of the reasons we also wanted to do this episode, it is such a part of most of our lives. Like, we all have friends who are like, oh, I don't use social media, right? Or, I built my business organically. But for a lot of people, social media is how you keep in touch with family who are far away. It is how we are building our businesses. Like, LinkedIn is real, right? Like, that is a real way that everyone tells you have to do it. So I think it can feel like a bit of a trap that we need to find ways to use it. And very smart people are setting it up to capture our brains in these loops, right? So what do we do? Like, how can we engage, not just run away like I wanted to and did, let's be honest. How can we engage healthily?
This is the $1 billion question. And first, in order for us to interact with social media in a healthy way, we need to understand what it is. And it's really easy to say social media is evil or social media is terrible. And there are also people that we've talked about who we know who like love social media and think it's everything. In reality, it's neither of these things. It is a tool that exists. And let's understand a little bit more about this tool. This tool is not actually a communication tool. It's a reward machine. So,
sorry, I just want to tweet. If I want to quote one of my heroes, Oprah, when she used to do that I may not agree with that, but I just wanted to come into that it's not a communication tool. It's a reward machine. Okay, I'm sorry. Please continue. But that is an absolute, I think that is a totally different way of looking at it from how I look at it and how a lot of people look at it. Okay.
It's a reward machine. And in fact, it uses the exact same reward structure as a slot machine. So if you've ever been to a casino, if you've been to Las Vegas, you walk around, people will sit in front of slot machines for hours and not get up and move. And it's the same thing. Social media is a slot machine for your brain. And it doesn't reinforce pleasure. It reinforces motivation. It just wants you to keep clicking. And in fact, it trains your brain to keep clicking, and it's the anticipation of a possible reward that keeps you going. That's actually what your brain looks forward to with social media. And this is because, just like a slot machine, you don't know when it's going to reward you, right? Slot machine doesn't pay out every time, and neither does social media. You don't always go viral, but you might. And it's that possibility, or somebody who you respect or like or love giving you just the right comment, or somebody influential sharing your post. It's those kind of really, really high potential rewards that keep your brain going. So in order to use this tool, we need to understand what it is. And that's what it is. It's a reward machine.
Okay, so I'm at the slot machine. Now, just to tell you, I think I went to Vegas a long time ago. I don't gamble. And I don't gamble because I think I would be very addictive about it. And bad. So I played one round at the Kenny Rogers, the gambler slot machine. I lost. I thought, forget this, and I walked away. However, I cannot do that with my LinkedIn profile or with our beloved YouTube followers. How do I make sure that not how do I make sure, but so when I start to feel envy, I see somebody's post and I think, oh, they are doing so much better than I am trash, to quote my goddaughter. What can I do that is like a vaccine?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things is, again, understand what it is. It's a system. And it's a system of curated content. that means it's not reality. So just remind yourself, step away, physically step away and say, this is not reality. And if you're on your phone, put your phone down, face down in front of you and say, this is not reality. That's the best thing you can do. And that's part of setting boundaries. And setting boundaries means understanding when to walk away and take a break. So to have a healthy relationship with social media, setting boundaries is really important. And knowing when to take a break is crucial to saving our mental health and having a relationship with social media in which it does not suck our souls dry.
So that is not a scientific term. That's a Mel term. But I would say that there is probably, and this, if we set, I mean, I know people talk about screen time for kids and people talk about like, you know, they're teenagers where they press the button and your access to all of the social media goes off. You know, you can no longer Snapchat your chums. Does that kind of thing work for adults? I mean, it's the same brain.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, there are apps you can get to do that as an adult. You can also set a timer. You can use your personal home assistant to set a timer. You can have other boundaries in place. For example, maybe no phone use after 10 p.m. Or at the very least, no social media after 10 p.m. Those boundaries really work. And you're rolling your eyes because you're like, oh, it's so difficult. And it's so difficult. It is.
It is.
But, yeah. Again, understanding that when you keep clicking, when you press that button, your brain has been optimized to respond and to post for approval rather than for values of your own self-worth. And so just having that understanding means that maybe we will embrace these boundaries a little bit more and be willing to try it at least. And maybe you don't set a 10-minute timer right away. And maybe you set a 2-minute timer, and that's okay. That's a great place to start.
Well, that will still train your brain.
It will train your brain to be able to turn that off a little bit quicker.
I've always been a little all or nothing, as you know, with the slot machines and life.
Yeah, but you can be able to walk away. So you're training yourself to be able to walk away.
Yeah, I want to talk about two things that get to me about social media aside from this, and that I've experienced. It is, so I mentioned the polarization, and I think it is one of the, and also that social media can be good. That I have been in places where social media has been used to spread news of a revolution. I was just on WhatsApp with people who were receiving news that a loved one had been freed from, and, you know, things like that, which is social media, where there can be positive news spread in a way that would not have been possible 20 years ago. And that it might not be the reward system, that is, might not be its purpose. It is being used as a communication tool. And it is still valuable in that sense. The ability to see footage, feel feelings, meet people that you would have had no connection to decades ago, I believe, has a potential good. But it only has a potential good if you are intentional about exposing yourself to it. Like, you have to choose your algorithm. Do you remember those books? Did you have those books, the Choose Your Own Adventure, where you
Choose Your Own Adventure books? Yeah, absolutely.
And like, you know, so sometimes my algorithms get really messed up because when I would be going and doing a different story, I would always be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to follow all these people from, you know, different perspectives and different political spectrums, and in whatever country or whatever story I was working on. And, you know, you end up with some pretty interesting views. And then there'd be something else. And I'd be like, oh, well, this is interesting too. But that starts to create a very different ecosystem than just what is being fed to you when you are more intentional about it. And when you actually say, like, I'm going to try and discover something new and positive. God, I'm getting positive. God damn it.
I knew it was going to happen. In fact, I actually meant to ask you exactly this. So
okay, what is it? What would you want to ask?
Walked right into my positivity trap. Well, it was simply like you were saying. Yeah, it works off of an algorithm, but when you're intentional about it, then you're also providing feedback to that algorithm.
Yep.
And when you're intentional about it, then all of a sudden you're using your brain's prefrontal cortex. You're deciding, you're making decisions, you're taking agency, and you're being purposeful. And I just kept thinking about all of the things you must have seen and experienced where something bubbled up to the surface of everybody's attention in the world because of this. And I want to hear about that.
Well, I don't know if I've got any like specific memories of that I could give you, but I just know it to be true. I know it to be true that, I mean, I probably have to go dark if I was going to give you that, right? No, but seriously, right? You probably would get a darker example of videos that have gone viral where things that might not have had everyone's attention have, I mean, what's a positive one? Oh, years ago, this guy was doing a live from South Korea and his kids came into the room. This is on BBC. And his wife tried to crawl in the door and get them out. And it became this like viral sensation. And these things can be moments that connect us as well. Positive things that connect us. I have an Instagram that is largely animals. And people will say to me, oh, what's your Instagram? Let's talk about, international affairs. And I'm like, that is not what my Instagram is. My Instagram is about animals. And I'm going to keep it that way. So I don't know if I would say that I can give you, I would say I can give you a million examples of how it spreads. And definitely, I'm trying not to go dark because you just got me positive.
Well, that's it. But you did without even realizing it. Yeah. That's it with the animals, right?
But I would say also that like we can choose
200 pictures of animals in one day.
But we can choose to feed. Like we can also choose what we put out there. This is what I wanted to get to, that we have agency about what we contribute. And I try to remember that. Like for me, I really do believe in the power of it, even though I am trying to control, like set boundaries about how I use it. So, and I'm also trying to put things into that ecosystem that represent a different view. Now, do those get choked out by the algorithm and never shown to anybody? Very possibly, right? Sometimes I'm sad when I see my 10 views, right? Which is all sorts of different brain parts. However, it's my way to contribute, my way to say, like, I'm trying to create something different. And I also think that this was the other thing I was going to say, is that one thing that definitely has happened is that people will say, oh my gosh, I was looking on, like back when it wasn't X, I was looking on Twitter. It must be terrifying to be there. It must be so scary to be in the middle of that. And I think I was thinking about like during the Arab Spring, right? And you're like, you guys are not seeing everything. You're not seeing the wholeness of being here, the beauty. Things are never as terrifying or as awful as they appear on social media. Because and the best way to challenge that is to go out to the real world as well. I'm not saying don't use it because it is a tool or a reward system. Can a reward system be a tool? Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
But go out into the real world. And I think if you do that, not as a boundary, but as a reminder that if you live in a country that is polarized, not everyone is awful, it helps challenge that. Whereas, I know somebody who has a partner who's become really, really radicalized by social media. And part of the problem is they never go out. I'm not saying it would fix everything, but when you think the world is terrifying because of what you're seeing on social media, go out to the real world. Because I promise you, having been out in the real world, pretty much everywhere that people think is terrifying, it's never been that bad. So that's just that's probably my 2 cents. And I mean, that comes from like, oh, they're blowing up, Tahrir Square. And it's like, or like, even this conversation I was having yesterday with somebody in Caracas, where it's like, obviously there's a lot of repression, but we were talking about cats. One of the great internet social media obsessions of our time.
Cats are the best part of the internet. I think we can agree upon that.
I think we can agree upon that. So if we wanted to try and bring this, oh God, I feel like we could talk about this for 10 hours, but I also haven't slept very much. If we were going to try and wrap this up into what you think are the biggest takeaways for how we can, stop worrying and love social media, if we're quoting the Dr. Strangelove, the great classic, not the Marvel movie. What would you say, Dr. Heather? What are your most important takeaways?
Understand what it is and what it is not.
Mm-hmm.
Set boundaries and be intentional and purposeful. And my last one is be like Melanie. Melanie always finds hope. And when I was actually thinking of this topic, you and your curated, intentional, purposeful, positive posts on social media are one of the first things that came to my mind. In my mind, you are the good side of social media.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Or I am such a Gomer, right? Like, I hope that's not offensive. I'm going to get canceled. But it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh.
You post with intention and purpose and post about things you believe to be meaningful. And I love that.
I think I just have to remember that that's like, just because that is the case, not everything is true everywhere all the time, which is funny because I tell you guys that, but I still fall into it. And so if I was going to give takeaways, I mean, I feel like we give this one a lot, but I would say, like, take a breath. Like, it's okay if you feel a little envious when you see that somebody is dipping their toes in the Maldives and not paying their bills or putting on winter tires. Like, that is okay. And you never know the whole truth. And when you feel scared because you are seeing people posting about all these terrifying things happen, and World War III is coming, and all this stuff, right? Which is, this is the worst year ever. Take a breath, because you never see the whole story there. The truth is not there. The whole truth does not exist on social media. And my takeaway would be that if you are seeing those things, go back and, like, I know this is a journalism thing. Go check some sources. Hey, do some research.
I like doing research. I think that's great advice.
I know you do. I'm just saying this for our audience. Like, I think people get into that slot machine, and I'll see really smart people reposting things on Blue Sky. And I'm like, has anyone checked this? Like, step back and check. But also, if you're feeling comparison or if you're feeling fear, go to the real world. Because generally in the real world, you will find the things that ease that for yourself and maybe give you something to bring back that is positive. And look, we are all going to have to engage to a certain degree with social media, unless you are one of the annoying friends who's never going to see this, who's like, I'm doing it all organically and I don't have to touch anything. I do. And I'm going to take Dr. Heather's advice. Set boundaries. I loved that. Put my phone down and say, this is not real. But
yes.
also go out into the real world and try and bring back what you really want to put into this, I don't know, ecosphere, whatever it is.
When in doubt, go walk outside and get some sunshine and say hello to a real person.
Or a kitty.
Or a kitty.
Take a picture of that kitty, put it up. Maybe you'll go viral. No, sorry. I'm so sorry. If you want a darker baby, here I am. Thank you for joining us. If you've got questions about social media that are scientific, if you want our suggestions for cat videos to follow, cat accounts to follow, if you want to know more about some of the amazing research that Dr. Heather knows, get in touch. I can throw you some stuff about how to combat disinformation. There are ways to do it. There are ways to teach your kids how to not believe everything that they read on TikTok news. All of that, please put it in the comments. Like, follow, subscribe. But I think that's it for us, isn't it, Dr. Heather?
That's it. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. We will be back next week.
Bye.
Bye.